Good morning from Beaver Stadium in State College, Pennsylvania. We are a couple hours away now from kickoff. Ohio State at Penn State. We're going to have full coverage of that, as we always do on the podcast and ohiostate.rivals.com. That's Bill Landis, Jeremy Birmingham. I am Austin Ward. The Buckeyes are not here yet, but their equipment is. That's the first step.
That's good. Yeah, step one, complete.
You can't play without that.
All right. So
you try.
The status report is out and confirmed. And what a surprise. Jackson Smith-Njigba is out again after all the games and back and forth. That's confirmed officially from Ohio State. We'll see exactly how long that lingers. I don't believe that it'll be a 1 week absence for Jackson Smith-Njigba. We shall see. Not sure why there's been so many fun and games and dancing around it from Ohio State this week. It seemed pretty clear where this was heading all along, and we reported that all week. So we'll move past Jackson Smith-Njigba. Cameron Brown is out, as we also talked about on Tuesday. A lower leg issue for the Ohio State cornerback. So he will not play. I think there's a good chance that he may return by next week. But those are the big ones, again, that sort of been the case for several weeks. A starting wide receiver and a starting cornerback.
Yeah, and then again, key parts on special teams where you still are missing guys like Roger Mitchell, who, has, I think, played, 2 games this year. And it's an area where that could be an issue today. Penn State has got some guys in the, kick return game that do some work. And you just hope for Ohio State's sake that they have enough guys out there to get out there and make some damage.
Yeah, Taraja was the one that I was curious if we might see this week. I'm not surprised about Jackson, not surprised about Cameron Brown, but they need to shore up the kick coverage in particular. I think can be important in this game. And again, I think Taraja Mitchell's a guy you miss when you don't have him on special teams.
Yep. So that's pretty much. I mean, there are other guys on the status report that has been confirmed by Ohio State. Those are the only ones really I think of. True consequence maybe for this game here in Happy Valley. So let's get into the keys now that we're here and kickoff is closing in. Berm, what do you got?
I think this is a situation where Ohio State needs to make sure that their running backs have free reign to get to the line of scrimmage. You can't lose yards in the running game today. To me, that's the one area last week they just never seemed to get going. And you saw it early in the game. Iowa was able to get into the backfield, penetrate the Ohio State offensive line, and really kind of throw the whole running game out of rhythm very early. So to me, it's about Mayan Williams and Travion Henderson getting going and just getting to the line of scrimmage and then being able to make a decision from there rather than having to make multiple decisions in the backfield. So to me, it's about that push up front. The run game has to get going early to allow C.J. Stroud the chance to get comfortable because we talked about it all week. Manny Diaz is going to bring a lot of pressure. And so for Ohio State to mitigate that, they're going to need the running game to get off to a good start.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. Just the worst game of the year I think the offensive line played was last week, so they need to bounce back. I'll go to the other line, the defensive line. I think you got to hit Sean Clifford quite a bit in this game. They've done a good job of that in these matchups, and Sean Clifford's been the starting quarterback at Penn State. He can create, he can extend plays. I don't think he's the most dynamic athlete in the world, but he's dangerous enough where if you don't bring him to the ground, I think that's where you can get into trouble. And we've seen the defensive line, I think, start to build a little bit of momentum here, whether that's those guys feeling more comfortable, Jim Knowles doing more stuff to make the quarterback hold the ball for half a second longer. I think all that matters. But the result needs to be putting Sean Clifford on his back, getting Penn State off the field on third down. Don't let them keep the ball away from Ohio State's offense.
I'm interested to see with Cameron Brown out again this week. We've seen some of those good matchups on the perimeter. We've said, when is Ohio State going to get a test in the passing attack, a quarterback who can take advantage of them? Sean Clifford is equally capable of turning the football over as he is hitting a deep shot down the field. But he's willing to take those opportunities, right? So that's the key. It's still going to be up to Denzel Burke, J.K. Johnson, potentially more Jordan Hancock after getting in the mix last week. If Sean Clifford's going to throw those balls up down the field, and we've seen this in this very building. Sean Wade had that experience 2 years ago. When the 50-50 balls are up there, these Penn State receivers are capable of winning those matchups. Sean Clifford is not afraid to take take shots at them. So you have to finish the rep if you are an Ohio State cornerback. That's going to be part of this game. There's no doubt about it, especially if Penn State looks at it and says, well, Cameron Brown's not out there. We consider him to be the best cornerback at Ohio State. Let's see if Jordan Hancock is ready. Let's see if J.K. Johnson is ready for this opportunity. If Denzel Burke is capable of bouncing back from some of the early issues this season in these same situations that we're talking about down the field. You got to compete. And if Sean Clifford invites you to take an interception, Ohio State needs to grab it.
I think Jordan Hancock played like 10 snaps last week. Are you guys expecting a major uptick in that?
I don't
know how major. Sorry, Berm, but
No, it's okay.
more than 10, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I think so too.
Well, Penn State does not have like a lot of offensive weapons on the outside. They have two main receivers they throw the ball to, Parker Washington and the other guy, Mitchell Tinsley. Those are really the only guys on the outside that they throw to. Other than that, it's a lot of dink and dunk stuff to the tight end and to the running back. So to me, it's about really finding a way early in this game to make sure those guys are locked up and forcing Penn State to stay inside, because that's where Tommy Eichenberg and Steel Chambers and the Buckeyes, sure-handed tacklers like Lathan Ransom, are going to really make hay today. So for me, it's about not allowing a splash play early for Penn State, because you don't want to allow Sean Clifford to get that confidence. Even if you're not hitting him early, you want to make sure he's uncomfortable, and you don't want this crowd to start getting into the game, because right now it's a little sleepy around here. It's early, it's cold. This crowd is going to want something to wake them up, as opposed to, I think, coming in and being alert, really into it early, because everyone expects Ohio State to win this game, and I don't think their fans are naive to that. So to me, I think it's just about setting a tone early for Ohio State and making sure Sean Clifford doesn't get a big play.
Yeah. I think Ohio State needs to get the tight ends involved today, and that's in myriad ways. That's Mitch Rossi down low in the red zone to help finish off drives as a blocking back. Play your 23 personnel down there. Just make sure you score. You have to score when you get down there. But then also, I just think historically in this game, like, the tight end has been sort of an afterthought in Ohio State's offense, because there's so much attention paid to the guys on the outside. There's so much talk about Joey Porter Jr. versus Marvin Harrison, and their other corners against Emeka Ibuka and Julian Fleming. Like, I think there's an opportunity for Cade Stover to have a nice game today. He's been more involved, I think, than we thought all year. Maybe that's slowed down a bit over the last couple of weeks. He's not scored since the Wisconsin game. I think he scores today probably, and I could see a game where he has 5-6 catches because so much attention is paid to those guys outside.
I think the Ohio State offensive line, obviously every game you have to come out and play well to win, but especially in some of these talent-equated games. Look, Penn State's defensive line is nothing to write home about. We talked about it all week with what happened 2 weeks ago for them against Michigan, over 400 yards rushing allowed. The unique challenge, I guess, for Ohio State is that last week was the first time that they really struggled by their standard. Now, the team put up 47 offensive points. They won 54-10. We understand all that. They ran 2.2 yards per carry. Donovan Jackson mishandled a TE stunt that wound up being a forced fumble and a touchdown for Iowa, and a shot on C.J. Stroud. So, look, Ohio State has the talent and should have the schematic advantage against Penn State. All that's true. And just like at cornerback, as I said earlier, you do have to go out and execute it. And that's a challenge for those 5 guys up front to bounce back. It's going to be loud at some point, maybe not right from the jump, but there's going to be 100,000 people in here at some point, making it very loud and difficult for Ohio State to communicate on offense. You can't have those false starts. If you're going tempo, got to make sure that everybody, DeJuan Jones, is caught up to speed and ready to go on that, and they have to get that push. And then the backs behind them have to take advantage of what's there. Don't try and do too much. We'll see, how much closer Travion Henderson and Mayan Williams are to 100%. For Mayan, I don't think it'll be all the way there for sure. We'll see for Trey. But when it's blocked up, those guys have to take advantage of it as well. And those guys collectively, and including C.J. Stroud, have to work together, and they have to win up front.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be one of those games. If you give Penn State options and opportunities to stay in this game early, then this game is weird late. So Ohio State needs to come out and be the better team, as they are.
Kickoff's coming at noon. This has been the pregame. Sorry it's not live. Penn State doesn't allow us to do that. Maybe you didn't notice or don't care. It doesn't matter. We'll be back here for some Snappy Jays afterwards. It's Ohio State, Penn State's Big Ten banger at noon. Hope you all enjoy it. That's Bill. That's Berm. I am Austin. Have a great Saturday.